what this is about. And it's not even advocating the notion that you can go out and do whatever you want to. That's not what we're advocating either. It is about acknowledging the reality that the way that we're dealing with the issue of drug abuse and broken communities and devastated families is not working. We're not solving the problem, and we're not healing those people. We're allowing people to die, and that's not moral, and that's what we want to look at a new approach that is not punitive, but that is restorative, an approach that treats this as a public health issue and not as a criminal issue, and that's what we're trying to speak out about here.
Right, and certainly, if I could put words in people's mouth, it's certainly not Christ-like to sit idly by and watch these events happen, because the other part of this edict, if you will, this discussion, this mandate, this conference, is that you, as a Methodist and as a Christian, you can no longer now stand in denial of this information, because it is here and has been clearly articulated for you that it is no longer acceptable for you just to stand idly by and allow this happen under some falsely imposed, self-imposed sense of morality. It's that no longer works either. And call me cynical, but I believe that there are a lot of people in this world who are very willing to dismiss the people who have become victims. I know people hate that word, but people who become either victims or participants, collateral damage, how about even a more offensive term, to the war on drugs. It's easy to dismiss them because they've been marginalized, they're seen as unimportant, and they've in a sense been cast out of society. And I think we know how Jesus Christ felt about people who are cast out of conventional society. So I would say to folks listening, it's no longer okay to turn a blind eye to this.
But it's also not okay to, I guess for lack of a better way to put it, to say, well, if those folks are going to pollute themselves and pollute our society, then, let them die. Good riddance. I think that's a just, never mind not Christ-like, it's just a completely anti-human approach and thought process there. Certainly
when there are other approaches that could save lives and save families and save communities, we need to look at those instead.
And I guess my final thought on the matter is the universality of the problem is astonishing. I can't imagine there is a family within our audience or within Rhode Island that hasn't been impacted in some way by the abuse of either alcohol and or drugs or both. I just can't imagine a family like that, and God bless them if they are. I have a feeling if you think that your family hasn't been affected, you may be, again, turning a blind eye to it. So at this point, can we all just humanize our reaction to it, abandon this failure we call the war on drugs, try, whether you're a Christian or any religious belief whatsoever, or even if you're just a humanist, adopt some type of, responsible position to this?
Just have a bit of compassion. Have a bit of compassion for your fellow man.
Right.
So people make bad choices and get caught up in things. It doesn't make them any less human. It doesn't make them any less deserving of your compassion, your love, your forgiveness. Any of these traits that do quite define, quote, Christ-like.
Right. Absolutely. And even if your motivations are more selfish than that, society as a whole is better when we don't have violence in the street, when we don't have people dying of drug overdoses. When we're not spending how many trillions of dollars incarcerating people, nonviolent drug offenders.
Right.
Even if your motivation is not about your fellow human beings.
Even if it's just a fiscal motivation, it can work out. So we got about 2 minutes left in the show. Beth, why don't you tell our listeners where they can get in touch with you if they're interested in the Methodist Church, if they're interested in learning more about the Methodist Church or the New England Conference's stance on the war on drugs. Go ahead and lay it all out there for us.
Well, the New England Conference is online at neumc.org. The denomination as a whole is online at umc.org. And on umc.org, you can find out a lot about the background of Methodism, the basics of our beliefs. On our website, the New England Conference website, you'll find the text of this resolution and the other resolutions that we passed recently at the annual conference. And you will find me on there under our news section, and you can certainly email me, and I'll be happy to get you information that you need.
Well, on that note, coming into our outro song, which is quite fitting for our conversation here, Beth, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate the stance that the conference has taken against the war on drugs. Hopefully more churches will follow suit, and more social advocacy organizations, of course. You've been listening to The Coalition, folks, on WPRO 99.7 FM, 6:30 a.m. Find us at www.coalitionradio.us, on Facebook /The Coalition Radio, on Twitter and Instagram at Coalition_radio. Pat, as always, a great show, and I'll see you in a little while.
All right, buddy.
All right, take care.